Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Space Canada TV. My name is Super Evil Poptarts. And it's another special stream here. We are going to wade through the aftermath of the Great Conjunction, and that is dealing with three games that the two other gentlemen here, we play a good majority of a mixture of them. And we're also, even if we don't play some of them, we are geek adjacent, where we kind of know stuff by osmosis. And we're going to then decide which one do we think was the better of the updates. Those games being Destiny 2 Season 21, Genshin Impact Patch 3.7, and Final Fantasy XIV Patch 6.4, The Dark Throne. In the party with me, I have Outrider.
Howdy.
And Bam, a.k.a. Jedi Polaris, in the chat.
Hello there.
Also known as El Guapo.
El Guapo! the Wappa! Anyway, there was, again, they decided to, it seems they're on, every reset for all the games are all on Tuesday. So anytime they get an update, they're going to be on Tuesday. We just find this, hello. I don't know why it didn't say welcome, but anyway, we did this back, last year. Or was it earlier this year?
We've done this a couple times.
Yeah.
More than one.
So we're going to go over this. Outrider will start with Season 21 for Destiny 2. Bam will do Genshin Impact 3.7. And then I will I'll take it up for Final Fantasy 6.4 Dark Throne. So Outrider, the soapbox is yours.
Alright, so Destiny Season 21 is known as Season of the Deep. At the start of the season, we get a distress call from our beloved former Titan lady on Titan, Sloane. She's the, the commander, the assistant commander?
Deputy commander.
Deputy, thank you, deputy. Essentially just like a step or so under Zavala. And she's sending out a distress message. So we actually go back to Titan, one of the planets that was taken away during the great sunsetting when Season of Arrivals came to a conclusion. And, it does start off with a pretty good mission, where you go back onto the Titan patrol space, and it's being invaded by Hive, and you find out that Xivu Arath, the last of the three major Hive gods, and the final sibling of Oryx and Savathun, is the one that's kind of leading the attack on this planet. You find Sloane about 1,000 meters down into the seas of Titan, which are methane, by the way, and she set out this distress signal not for you, but for Leviathan, I guess, proto-worm, perhaps, a being named Asha, which looks like this gigantic sea serpent. And Asha has been communicating with Sloane, who also has been partially taken, quite literally. Her body, like her extremities, are essentially that white and black taken smoky effect. And I was like, oh, alright, this is kind of starting off with a bang a little bit. You know, the season's going to be about, hey, let's get Sloane and Asha off this. And no. The season actually is about learning the Witness's origins. And you can actually go to Bungie's own website and look at the seasonal page and see that. So what it comes down to for multiple weeks, at least the first 4 weeks of the season, you're doing what are salvage missions and deep dives. The salvage mission is the 6-person match-made activity. It's just like do 3 sets of small tasks, and then you are transported under the sea and fight a boss. Deep dives are, you start off where Sloane and Asha's located, and then you drop into the ocean and go into different areas, and over the course of 3 weeks, different depths open up. Out of the 2 activities available, the salvage missions are the more typical Bungie fare, and it's pretty forgettable, and I don't think I've actually done any since I completed 1 legendary salvage mission when it became available. The deep dives, on the other hand, are a little bit different, because this is Bungie's attempt at doing a roguelike gameplay loop. And by roguelike, I mean you have random power-ups that are doled out between each encounter, and you get to select one of the 2. The further down you go, the more power-ups you end up getting. So you might get increased super regeneration, extra void damage, extra precision damage, or shielding against bosses, or something like that. So it's not always going to be the same as to what you will benefit from. And you travel as far down as possible, open up a chest. The deeper you go, the better the reward. There's only 3 depths. You start off in the Abyssal is the lowest level. The Twilight, I think, is the upper. I can't remember what the mid-range level is called. Regardless, it's actually pretty fun for a play loop. I was quite impressed with it overall. And there's also some secrets that they tucked away into the deep dive event itself. One of these things are called pressure trials. And the pressure trials is when you have an encounter floor, you will see something that looks like our favorite little spirit guide, Toland. And if you get the entire party of 3 to interact with Toland, something additional will transpire during the challenge that, once completed, will cause additional harder waves of enemies to start spawning. And if you complete all those successfully, it adds an additional +1 bonus to the chest you can get. So you can go all the way up to +7. That is going all levels of depth, plus doing a pressure challenge on all 3 levels. Level 7 chests allegedly give the best loot. I've only gotten 1 because trying to do it with random players can be very difficult. So, but I really actually applaud Bungie for this one. This was actually a lot of fun. As for the story in between, for the first 4 weeks, you're helping Sloane mind link to Asha so you can get whatever information Asha is desperate to tell you, and you're getting help on doing this from the Drifter, who has essentially a retrofitted Gambit tank to dunk this egregore coral, because egregore is from the Season of the Haunted. It's that spore that transfers psychic data and information associated with the darkness. Well, it's just been pressurized and turned into coral. So you're using that, but the information you get for the first 4 weeks is really fractured, and it doesn't make a lot of sense at all. And I got to be very honest, where I was getting very bored with that extremely quickly. After 4 weeks of that, I was just like, this they have to do something. Week 5, they did. You got a cutscene. Finally, Asha has a very clear channel. She speaks through Sloane in a very direct way, giving you a very, very vital cutscene explaining the origin of the witness itself in its entirety. Week 6 concludes with Asa getting captured by Xivu Arath, and they're trying to force her to become taken. You save her, and that's kind of it. That's 6 weeks of story. I want to add that the cutscene directly that discusses the witness's origins is probably the most important cutscene they've had in the game in the past few years, with legitimately opening up and answering questions involving the story. This cutscene should have been in the Lightfall expansion. It would have changed people's opinions about the expansion itself for the story that it gave you. And if it was included, it would have been hailed as a success. And not a target of constant complaints, which it is to this day. I'll get to this in a moment, but there is an extra thing that happens and involves one of the other seasonal activities you get to do, which is fishing. Yes, I'm actually fishing right now as I'm talking.
It's fun.
And it's just it's fun. It's brainless.
It breaks up the usual. You just go run around, shoot things. It breaks up that monotony.
I'm not complaining about the fishing because this is an activity that you see in other games and MMOs. I mean, Final Fantasy XIV has it.
I did. I fish a lot of times.
And it's an activity that helps make the world feel more lived in. Because this is a relaxation activity. This is an entertainment activity. Normally, as Poptarts just said, you're running around shooting things. I know that's the meat and potatoes of a first-person shooter. But when this is also supposed to be like an MMO light, having those little quality of life additions, this is a good thing. I'm afraid fishing will go away after this year's content is up. And that'll make me sad. But while you're fishing, you obviously could catch exotic fish, right? There was one specific, it was Caparina Axehead. It was available in all 3 ponds on 3 different planets, the EDZ, Nessus, where I'm currently at, and Savathun's Throne World. After week 4, I think, all of a sudden, other exotic fish started appearing, 1 pond at a time. And as you caught them, and then dunked them back in your giant fish tank aquarium in the helm, you started picking up these broken blades that would mysteriously fit in hive statues in the deep dive. After 3 weeks, all the blades were accessible due to all the fish being available to catch, and it unlocked the Whetstone Challenge, which is a secret timed mission during a deep dive. The prize to it was an exotic stasis scout rifle called the Wicked Implement. And the Wicked Implement other than... Alright, so, like I said, it's stasis. It has something called Tithing Harvest on it, which precision final blows while creeping attrition is active. That's the exotic trait. Created a stasis shard that returns to you. Collecting stasis shards refills the magazine. These stasis shards will home in regardless of how far away you are. with like unerring perfection. That's kind of nice. Creeping attrition is rapidly landing precision hits causes targets to become slowed. If you get the catalyst, the crystal will also overflow your magazine. For a reward, having a secret mission that gives you an exotic weapon, not bad. Not bad. The mission itself is a little tough. You get, I think, what was it, like, correct me if I'm wrong, a 10-minute time limit, Bam? It was pretty...
You get, the moment you break the first checkpoint of the first boss, you go into a room, and the moment you hit a point in that room, it starts a 10-minute timer.
Yeah, so it's 10 minutes to do this. It
does not pause at any point.
No. So you have to go through 2 rooms, nuking essentially a Taken Knight, while learning the mechanic of how to damage it, which involves killing Taken Hive Minotaurs that give you a bonus, like, because it's called the Whetstone. Whetstones are for sharpening blades, sword logic, all this stuff.
Deep dive, wet, water.
Sharpening. you get this this thing. It says sharpening, and like you're becoming sharper and sharper. At times 3, you can finally start damaging the boss. After you kill the 2 knights, you're entering into a pyramid that's underwater that you didn't see before under the surface of Titan. When you get past 2 knights, you enter into a maze, a literal maze, and at the center of the maze is a tormentor. Was it the Omen of Xivu Arath or something? And you have to run around the maze, kill the 3 Minotaurs, and you get a minute of DPS time to shoot this tormentor in the chest as much as possible, and it has an enormous health pool. And if everybody wipes during it, the mission's over. If you run out of time, the mission's over, and you fail. You have to kill the tormentor and everything else within 10 minutes, and then you get your prize. It's pretty fast. The day it came out and was available, it was pretty difficult. I'm not going to lie. It took me 2 days on LFG to get it done before I finally had a group that could actually do it. And I wasn't even on my main character. I actually had to swap to a Warlock, and I had it set up as an Arc Warlock because I was running Divinity. And the other 2 people were running Thunderlords. And we managed to 2-phase it with like 6 seconds to spare. It was rough. It was a very rough encounter. It's nice to see stuff like that hidden in there. Now, some of the downsides to this. Having a mission like that hidden in a match-made seasonal activity sucks. Because there's already 3 layers of things that people need to do in a deep dive. Some just want to complete the deep dive. Some want to do pressure trials in the deep dive. If one person goes through and starts activating the whetstone challenges because they think that, oh yeah, everybody wants to go for the whetstone, well, the whetstone overrides the rest of the deep dive. You can't do the deep dive itself. You do the whetstone if you activate it. So now you have a situation where people leave. This is all random. I know. Go to LFG. Well, in-game LFG is not available yet, so you're still having to leave the game to find people to play with, or make arrangements with people in a clan if you're part of it, or friends that are playing it to do these particular activities in a certain way. Once the whetstone was unlocked, there should have been a node that you could activate there forward, so it didn't interfere with the deep dive. I know this Bungie's design philosophy relies on using a lot of things that they've done in the past. and how this mission becomes available is similar to a mission in the the King's Fall expansion, where you had to go back through the moon and get a shard, I think, of Crota. You had to do something, but you had to, on the way back, if it's not in the Dark Below, it was in King's Fall. And on the way back, if you ran back through that strike, because it was a strike, you could enter a door that was open for a certain amount of time that took you to a fallen catch that was filled with Taken. And if you completed it, you got an exotic sniper rifle.
Yes, I know what you're talking about now. It took me a while.
Which was, you had a 10-minute timer to it. It was hard as hell the day it came out.
It was a black
at least
spindle.
For the first week or so. Yeah, the black spindle. It was the exotic version of the black hammer, which this has to be after Crota, after the Dark Below. This has to be during the Taken King, because the black spindle replaced the black hammer because the black hammer was broken.
Well, you could only get the black hammer in the hard version of Crota.
No, you can get the black hammer in the regular version of Crota too.
I just know that Nuclear Wombat was tried for like 150 times, finally got it, and then 2 days later, the black spindle mission came available, and they took it out of the pool.
It was the RNG on the drops during the raids were extremely low.
Yes.
It was terrible.
It was horrible.
Low in Destiny 1. But this is the same formula. You know, you're doing something else, and there's a secret side mission that you don't really know if people are all going to go for. So some people are just trying to do the regular mission, and all of a sudden you're trying to run off to do the new or harder thing, and they don't want to do it because maybe they've already done it or they just don't know about it. So they leave, and it leaves incomplete teams. And it's just a mess. It's kind of this funky mess, and I wish that once you unlock said secret mission, it gets its own node in the director, so you can activate the mission closer to the start of the timer, and go from there. So you're not trying to drag along randoms when you're doing matchmaking without pre-made fire teams. It's just mildly frustrating. The exotic itself, Wicked Implement, I don't know really what to think about it, other than it's not immediately the most OP weapon I've ever used in my life. But I can see it has potential. It's going to take work to make this thing really sing, with very, very specific builds. And I'm kind of reaching the point where I don't really care about that anymore. So other people might be better at this. Rolling back to the seasonal story, overall, removing the Week 5 cutscene completely from the equation, I want to say that the story actually is not very good. Because up until that point, it was just nonsense. And it was rather annoying nonsense. I mean, this could have been better presented. And then you get this big info dump, which not only, like I said, it gives you the background of the witness. Hell, it pretty much gives you the background of the traveler. It also explains, in a way, what makes sense. It gives you an idea what the veil is. You know that big question from Lightfall, what's the veil? That even this season, they're still answering, because on Neptune,
spoilers.
There's a node. Spoilers.
Yeah, spoil it. Fuck it.
This isn't a spoiler. There's a mission called Veil Containment on Neptune that opened up this season. if you have the Lightfall expansion. The first time you do it, you get a legendary hand cannon, that's okay, and an audio recording from some of the people that settled Neomuna.
I haven't done that, actually.
But for the next 5 weeks, they give you more audio recordings. But they do not tell you this at all on your director, that there's more audio recordings to go collect there. That gives you more information about the Veil. And more information about what's going on. Stuff that should have been included during the expansion's frame where it released, around the campaign missions where it make more sense. They're willingly drizzling all this information out over the 2 seasons. There's a series of interviews that are out there with the narrative team, and they've mentioned this. They keep on telling people in interviews, oh yeah, go back to Veil Containment, you'll get more information. There's like 6 weeks worth of stuff. It's like, why couldn't you guys light up the note on the director to give us a clue to go back? If it's so important, why aren't you making it a big thing? Why isn't the node itself blinking? It doesn't. And next season, we'll have a new thing for it, 1 week. And the season 23, which is the last season before the next expansion, will have another audio recording as well, which is talking about what might be coming in the future. And all of this deliberation to take a story that should have been included completely within the campaign of the expansion and spread it out over multiple seasons in these tiny little drips and drabs is because they looked at Lightfall not as the end of a year's worth of storytelling, like the Witch Queen was the ending to that year leading up to it. This was the finale, the Witch Queen. Lightfall, instead, is a bridge season to the final shape. So it's incomplete by design. I want you to suck that in for a moment. That this expansion, and I know I'm talking about this season, but this is why I'm bringing up the expansion. It was designed on purpose to make the seasons more compatible with the expansion, so it all kind of flows together instead of making and selling a complete expansion. When it comes to storytelling,
I think they failed.
Oh, I know they failed. I do not like this. Oh. They said this was stated in one of the interviews. I don't remember if it was PC Gamer or Press Start, but they looked at this as an experiment in storytelling. Do not do this again, gentlemen and ladies. Please do not do this again. This was not good, not fun. Another thing that I really don't like that is more pronounced this season for me than, say, specifically this season, than when it happened again a couple seasons past, was to get the dungeons, you have to spend extra money to purchase a separate dungeon pass, right? And now they're making the dungeons more and more tied into the seasons that you're launching the dungeon in. So when we had Season of the Haunted, you had Duality, which, well, that was like a big haunted mission now, wasn't it? Where you're going into Callus's psyche.
Inception moment.
Yeah, Callus's psyche, yeah, right? Which, that's what you were doing for the main stories, is going through the psyches of these other people. When Season of
Seraph.
Yeah, when Seraph came out, which involved Rasputin, it was before Neomuna came into clarity, you had Spire of the Watcher, which took place on Mars, which was about Rasputin's old pillory bunker being invaded for information, and Osiris sends you there, and it kind of pointed the direction of where you're going and what's happening for the expansion. Like, where's next? All right, this season, the dungeon, which is really good, it's called Ghost of the Deep.
I'll admit it's good. I played it with Bam.
I'm not gonna complain about the dungeon being designed well. It is. It's a lot of fun, but it really is not only placed on the planet that the seasonal activities are happening in, but also really ties into it once again. So this is extra stuff that should be part of the season that is sold separately. And it's, quite frankly, the best part of the season. And I don't like this.
You're not the only one.
I don't like this. So when season 23 rolls around, last season of the year, if you have the expansion pass, either you bought it separately or you bought the gigantic gonzo, we were going to spend $100+ for Lightfall and everything. The next dungeon will be out, and I can almost guarantee it's going to be directly tying into that season's content and pushing towards the Final Shape expansion. Like, these dungeons are now, without being standalones, are now being part of a story that, why aren't they standalone? I mean, why can't we have standalone missions? I don't need every raid in the game to be linked intrinsically to the narrative of the expansion that they come out in. And I can almost say the same for a dungeon. It's nice once in a while, but dungeons could just be like their own missions, these really big, complicated missions. I don't need them to be hooked into the story. Maybe tell a different story. Open up the world a little bit more. If I wanted to give it credit, for one thing I think Bungie did very, very well with story-wise this season was the secondary story beats. The interactions between Zavala and Saladin and Saint 14 and Sloane. Yeah, so this was pretty much all Titan season.
And
except
the
for the Drifter.
Titans on
Drifter could be a Titan. We don't know what Drifter is. Drifter does whatever he wants.
Well, according to lore, when he came about, there was no such thing as class, in classes as we know them.
Yeah, and he's maintained no class this entire time. But Ching, no
yeah,
class,
Ching.
So technically this was almost like an all-Titan party on Titan.
Funny.
This was Fistapalooza. This was Fistapalooza. It really was. And
I would like to say there was a whole bunch of smashing going on, but yeah.
But they really did a good job with the characters interacting amongst themselves, talking to each other, survivor's guilt coming up. The fact that the Drifter in one season, this season specifically, had more character growth than he's had in the past. It's actually kind of nice to see these characters being developed. I just wish that the main thrust of the story was developed better for the first 4 weeks. Instead of 20 minutes of boredom, do your mission, then you're done, wait till next week. Oh, week 5 hits because there's only 6 weeks of story this season. Boom, huge cutscene. The cutscene should have been in the expansion, not in a separate season. It's very, very clear that, in my mind, this season is kind of a wash when it comes to good and bad. It's just like dead in the center, and I'm not going to remember most of it when it's done. and when it's past. And thinking about it, there's very few seasons I actually actively remember. I mentioned one of them earlier, Season of Arrivals.
And that's kind of sad if you think about it.
Yeah, because they all blur
not sad
together.
on your part, but how Bungie presents them and everything.
Yeah, they kind of blur together. It still feels the same. I don't ever want to see this storytelling where we're going to take your expansion and then spread it out over the course of a year very slowly and irritate people that paid $50 and got no answers when they completed the campaign proper. I think that's just like, that's like going to the movies, buying a ticket for a film, and the movie that you watch instead is a tutorial on how to drive a car versus what you were told it was going to be, and then you're told come back next season for the answers to what the movie was supposed to be about.
Yeah. Well,
I this season and last season, and I'm afraid the rest of this year is not going to be filling me with a lot of confidence that when it's going to matter the most, when the last expansion I will purchase for Destiny 2 comes out, they're not going to be able to bring this home and actually deliver somewhat of a satisfying conclusion to this narrative arc they've been trying to patch together. And they're going to spread it out over the course of another year. And I just don't have a lot of confidence right now. And that's where I'm at with Destiny.
All right. Bam? Your 2 cents?
I do think that they definitely withheld what was supposed to be the enticing factor of the season. But then again, it was a Titan party. I was satisfied with that part because I am easily impressed. I am stupid, apparently.
No, I mean, I said I had a good time with all that stuff. It was just the main thrust of the story itself was dead for 4 weeks before it got interesting, and then it's over.
You went to a nice taco place, but you enjoyed their burger instead.
I went to a taco place and instead sat in my car and ate a PB&J I made a week ago.
But I think that
I went to a Carvel instead. I drank a Grimace shake, birthday shake.
I think they have a grasp on how they want to take the characters, but I don't think they have an idea as to what they want to conclude on.
I agree with you.
Because Lightfall is just it's a breaker expansion, and they're trying to buy themselves enough time to find out, is this how we want to end this supposed saga? And it's clouded by a bunch of corporate decisions that are not pleasing to many people.
Yeah, it's been stressed before on various formats that the decisions that are being made are not the people that are actually designing this stuff, it's their bosses in management. Because they got to keep the train going, because this is a train station going in and out. Everything's on time. You can only put up what you can to get it done quick.
So it's rather unfortunate. Now the wait is all going to be, will the time that they bide it over be enough for them to end off on what they're comfortable with. Because there is absolutely, inevitably going to be a mass exodus once Final Shape releases, and it's going to be up to what they decide to tweak in the game to see if they can even retain any player base after that.
I don't agree with that, actually. I don't agree with that there's going to be this mass exodus, because the same people are playing it that's been playing it since D1 day one.
Mm-hmm.
They keep playing it because there's something in there that they keep finding enjoyment for. They keep holding out this promise of, essentially, the promise of potential is going to be fulfilled. I don't see a mass exodus happen. I see some people kind of shuffling off here and there. I'm going to be one of them, because I've reached a point now where it's like I'm not getting stuff out of this. When I was trying to stream Destiny 2 the other night, and I stopped like an hour into my stream and went, you know what, I'm going to go back to play Final Fantasy 16.
How is that, by the way?
It's fucking awesome.
If it wasn't fucking 100 goddamn gigabytes, I'd be playing it.
I've actually completed it. I finished the story. It's unbelievable.
All right. Well,
I have lots of thoughts about that, but I'm not going to go into it right now. But I don't see a mass exodus. And in fact, come August 22nd, when the Destiny showcase goes off, which is the day that the new season launches, because they'll do this hour-long presentation or half-hour.
I just hate that.
Hours before it goes off, on YouTube and whatever, they're going to show, oh, this is what we're expecting with the final shape, and this is what we're going to do after that, and hint on what they're coming after that. And everybody's going to see clips of the final shape, and they're going to get little things, and everybody's going to be tweeting or on their social feed, Bungie, and all this stuff. And once again, we're hopeful. Oh, this is so great. And damn it, they'll be right back to complaining about it, not just a week later when the new season sucks and they're not enjoying what they're offered, but when that damn expansion comes out. But they stick with it, and I don't understand that.
Anything else, Bam?
I was going to say, I don't think the game will die.
No, I'm not thinking the game will die, but I don't see a mass exodus either.
I just think that they're going to bleed players coming Final Shape.
Yeah, they bleed players constantly. People shuffle in and out.
But they'll have to do two things. They'll have to, one, make the Final Shape be compelling enough to attract the players, but two, they need to set up an enticing plot after the fact. And as far as I'm aware, the dedicated players, there are people that enjoy how the PvP of the game is. They don't like the fact that there's a ton of cheaters right now, but they like how it plays.
There's what? There's PvP people that enjoy it? I've
Like
never seen that on the social feeds. They're constantly screaming about it.
Well, they keep going back. But there will be people that keep playing, but I don't.
You'll see more people shuffle off when Marathon launches.
Absolutely. We'll see, I suppose. Poptarts.
All right. I'm going to try to touch on different aspects here. First things first, I used to keep calling Destiny, basically an MMO. It's not really an MMO, but it has MMO elements. But it's not an MMO, and it's not even an MMO light. It just has MMO elements in the package of this world that kind of evolves. You have a huge overarching story that's been going on for 10 years, since 2014 when it first started. I've basically almost stopped playing Destiny. I and I've said this many times, even when we're not streaming Outrider, we occasionally talk. I do not like the way they deal out their story. They, it is, you just put it all in one basket and let people slowly take stuff out as they're playing it instead of giving them the basket handle and then maybe the bottom of the basket and then the side and stuff. I just give me the whole fucking fruit basket, okay? And I'll pick out the fruit one at a time as I'm slowly enjoying it instead of having to wait week by fucking week by fucking week by fucking week. And just as Outrider had said earlier, and I totally 100% agree with him, it just felt dead for 4 weeks. Just completely dead. Put it this way, by week 3, I stopped. The only reason I went back, and I'm actually 2 weeks behind now, because I just don't play it anymore, was because of that cutscene. And Bam was like, oh, you just go to YouTube and watch if you don't want to play it. No, I wanted to experience it as I was playing it.
I don't think I said that.
Oh, I don't know. At this point, I don't know any more fucking Destiny. It's just... It's not fun. It's not... There's no sense of grandness to it like it used to have. I mean, I played Destiny 1 from the beginning all the way to Rise and Iron, and I still come back and play and enjoy it and just feel like, oh, this is just so awesome. Everything we did in Destiny 1. You know, even like when Destiny 2, after the first 2 seasons, so to speak, the first 2 years, because Destiny 2 had a rough start, but then they turned it around, just like how Destiny 1 was. But I don't see... Lightfall feels like a weird-ass intermission between a really good story, and you're like, you know, you go take a shit, you know, in the theater, you go out of the theater, take a shit, maybe get some more popcorn, and you're like, okay, it's like they said 3-hour intermission. Oh, it's like 5 minutes, like, you know, 5 minutes. I'll start walking back to the theater, you know, get some fresh air. You come back, and just as you're walking through the door, it says Jimmy Smith's, and then the movie starts, and you're like, the fuck? I'm making a very obscure reference to a movie way back in the 90s where they just yell Jimmy Smith's name and people are like, what? In this case, it's a reference to Lightfall and the Veil, them mentioning the Veil, and us going, what the fuck's the Veil? They are... I enjoyed those character moments too, as Outrider pointed out, when you went to the helm and you actually had the characters there instead of it just being broadcast over the radio or you're listening to a conversation from the comm, where you actually get to see the characters interacting that you've known and you care about. You know, yeah, the meme with Sloane and her booty because it's a wonderful booty, but her in the moment that she had with the Drifter, and like it's hinted that they knew each other from the past. That was beautiful moments. The beautiful moments with Drifter with anyone. Like, I think Outrider hit it on the head. He had the most character development in a very long time. The Drifter is a very interesting character. Him and Eris are very interesting characters because they're not totally with the, like, you know, they're not on an extreme of black or white. They're sort of like in the middle. And those are the interesting characters in the middle. You can make extremes interesting, but you have to be very good at writing them. And Drifter plays well off of all these other characters because you really don't know much about him, and it's not like he's going to say anything, but he also, you can tell his character by how he interacts. There was a kind of a softness and a, camaraderie in that soft moments between him and Sloane when they're talking and they're having those drinks. And he's like, what is this? He's like, oh no, we won't find out until we drink it. And it's, I miss those moments. Those fragmented pieces with Asha were just boring. They were boring as hell. The cutscene, I was half right, Bam and Outrider. Remember I said, the witness is probably just an edgy teenager, and like the light and the darkness, he's mad at the light because he created life, and he somehow got the power of the darkness to go after Mom and to tell her how horrible a parent was. I was half right.
You're probably like a 16th right.
I was kind of right. I mean,
you nailed it on the light and darkness head. Well done.
Yeah, well, I mean, the traveler was there, and it sped up their society, but then they needed guidance. What do we do now? We've achieved.
They felt like they needed to
direction.
To harness it in direction, yeah.
Yeah, they wanted direction. They needed to know we've achieved the pinnacle of what our civilization can do. What else can we do? And then that's when the traveler fucked off, so to speak, and they got the veil, which was the flip of the traveler, and they've been chasing after it, so they all turned into like one super being, and then they want to basically change the world the way they want to by harnessing.
Let me correct something.
Okay.
The Traveler took off because they had the veil.
Oh, and they wanted
to trying to merge it.
Yes,
with him,
that's right. I forgot about that.
And it went no. And
yes.
Flipped, and it ran.
Yes, and it ran. And then they said, nope, we're going to use the darkness to catch Traveler, and then we're going to use the Traveler and merge them, and then create the universe how we see fit. I have to admit, I'm glad for some answers, but I was bored by the revelation. I'm just like, this is so generic. It's just not interesting at all. I was almost disappointed. No, fuck it. I am disappointed because I don't play the game anymore, almost. I need to play it, though, because not last week, but the week prior, that's the last lines of Lance Riddick that they have. So it's the last time you'll be able to hear new lines for Lance Riddick. So be sure to finish the season out before the season ends so you can hear that. I don't know what they're going to do. They haven't said anything about if they're going to recast Lance Commander Zavala or what, but I do need to at least play those last two story missions out, so at least I can hear the last of his lines. Because for 10 years, I've been hearing that man talk to me. And to not hear the last of his lines for that game, I think would be an insult to him and his memory. But back to the game. When you were talking about those audio logs from the one mission, and I just have to use this for comparison. They're two different type of games, but they still need the way they implement certain things can be comparable. Final Fantasy, when they have stuff that comes out, especially on their patches, you will know that there's new stuff because they'll have an icon for a character. You can easily go to the website too, with the patches, and they'll say all the stuff, and you know where to find them. So you know where to find that stuff. You're like saying, why didn't that thing light up to say, hey, there's new shit here? I agree with that. That would keep people from missing out on the story as a whole, because yeah, it's all about gun shooting stuff, for the majority of the player base, but there's a good amount of players that are here for the story. And to not know that that story is there within the game structure itself, that's a fucking crime and a piss poor way of building a game. Well, just go to our Twitter pages. I hate fucking Twitter with a fucking passion. I would, even before that idiot Elon Musk bought it, I wanted to burn that fucker to the ground. I don't need to have to go to your fucking socials to figure out if something's there. I should be able to know it's there in the goddamn fucking game. You're game developers. You are supposed to know how to create a structure that players will know what to do, what's new, and things are there. Socials are a secondary tool, and I'm not going to throw them out completely, but some people want nothing to do with Twitter. I shouldn't have to go there to find out there's something new in the game. I should go into my game, turn it on, log in, and be able to look at the destination menu and see something lit up and say, oh, wasn't there the last time I played that on the last reset. Something's there. I need to go there and check it out. But on the flip side, the special missions that they sneak in there are kind of nice, because you get to find, the community likes finding hidden things, and you can't take that away. You just got to prioritize better. If it's something to do with a story, like these audio logs you're talking about, I would definitely make sure the players know that. If it's a special mission where there's this gun, you don't have to tell us. That's something that is fun to find as the community as a whole. But really, Bungie, what the hell? And then you say it's an experiment, and we don't care what the community thinks. Any exposure and that we get that gets us attention is good attention? No. No, Bungie. No. You're becoming like Ubisoft and fucking EA, okay? There's a reason why people actually kind of don't like the Assassin's Creed franchise anymore. There's reason why EA's evil incarnate. You got all this money from Sony, and like I said, you think it's coming from the bosses and not from the small parts Outrider, but I love
the small parts do not determine what goes into the game. They do not. They come up on a consensus, they're told a direction, and their bosses break it down to them as to what they're supposed to be doing. They do not, the people in the trenches do not decide what the game is going to consist of.
And I hate that.
But that's how game development works.
I wouldn't be angry and cursing and yelling if I didn't enjoy Destiny. I've poured, just like Outrider, just like BAM. We've poured 9 years of our life into this game, and it's to see what is happening to it. It's kind of sad, and it hurts. They could. I don't like the seasonal model. I haven't liked the seasonal model for a while, probably over for a year and a half. Maybe when it first came out, this is different. But then the seams are showing that it doesn't work all that well. I don't know what else to say. It's like, I mean, I don't care to get the exotic scout rifle that you're talking about. I'll just wait until I can buy it for shit for when it's in there. The fishing, the positives. The fishing is fun, just like Outrider was saying. It makes the world feel lived in. In Final Fantasy XIV, fishing is a gathering job, but there is a special place that if you go into one of the main cities, you can get on a fishing expedition with other players on a boat, and you're just fishing for points that you can get. If you get enough points, you'll be able to get like a mount, some minions, and it's just a chill time to have fun. Sometimes like pods of dolphins float around you and they give you bonuses and stuff, but it gives you this sense of the world being lived in. Fishing is fun, and the fact that you have an aquarium that you can put those fish in, especially the exotic ones. And when you do the deep dives, you can actually find baubles during the... I don't know if it's the deep dives or the salvage. I think it's the deep dives.
It's the deep dives. There's three in each level of the deep dives.
Yeah, there's little baubles you can pick up, and they will go into your aquarium. And it's really neat. It's fun. It's a fishing is a chill activity to do in Destiny. So much chill that when people are fishing and a public event comes in and stops them from fishing, they get angry. They get very, very angry, and you will find all these guardians heading to that going to that public event, not because they want to do it, because they want to destroy it so much so they can go back to fishing. It's funny in a good way. It's hilarious.
I've just done that like 4 or 5 times so far.
Yes, you see, you're taking granted the public events are on timers, but they're taking those public events are taking fun from those guardians fishing, and they're just sitting there just fishing because they want to, because they're having fun, they're chilling, and it gives them a sense that the world is more than just shoot and stuff like activities that are kind of boring. It's like Bungie does some good things, but we're in a bad relationship with fucking Bungie and Destiny 2. We're just like you were like saying, what's with those PvP players? They're yelling on social media how horrible it is, but yet they just keep coming back. It's the relationship you keep going back to. It's like horrible.
I think I called it the promise of potential. Everybody sees the potential in the game, but
yes.
The game is never going to reach its potential based on how it is sold, how it's laid out.
Having to pay for the dungeons separately if you don't get the things, that's horrible. The dungeons, I mean, I've only done this dungeon once, but it was a good dungeon. Whether it was like built and structured right, I can't say, but I remember WK and Bam take me through, and it's a fun, challenging dungeon.
It's harder than the raid.
Yeah. Well, I remember in D1 where it was the Nightfalls were harder than the raid. Yeah. I mean, Final Shape's coming out. I've been buying the super duper collector's editions the last, I think, 3 expansions. I don't know if I'm going to get the super duper collector's version this time. I think I want to save some money.
I'm only getting the bare basic expansion. I'm not buying additional seasons. I'm not buying the next dungeon pass. I'm just getting the expansion. Because whether it's a successful conclusion or not, I think after 10 years I've earned the right to move on.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first time that I started yelling on a stream. with how much Bungie is kind of just pissing me off. And then they're coming out with Marathon, which I think is just strictly PvP.
It is PvP.
Well, I'm not interested. They lost me. They lost me. PvP, just PvP, straight PvP, boring.
Think Gambit, but not moats, but escaping with your life. That's
there's no PvE element to it. I have no interest.
No. There's not zero PvE element. They probably are going to take the Tarkov route and throw bots and events around.
I don't know. I'll think about it, but if the emphasis is just on PvP, I'm not that player. The only reason I got Titanfall 2 was big gigantic stompy mechs, and the story that they had, where it was just you going through the whole story, was a great fucking story. So the PvP element was just like, a bonus, and it had a nice giant stompy robots that made the PvP kind of fun. But I wasn't on it every day to play PvP. I would only go on like with people that I played with, and that that was pretty much it. But I mean, I'm getting the final shape. I started Destiny 1 back in September 9th, 2014. This is the final shape is the last part, the final chapter of the Light and Darkness saga. I need to end it. I need to finish it off, and whether it's going to be good or not, we'll have to find out. But having to slog through these seasons to get to that, I don't know. I can't see them adding any interesting seasonal tidbits. The way they fucked over Lightfall by not having those parts in the actual expansion, that would have made it for a better, coherent story telling, but not the way they're doing it now. That's all I gotta say. I can't even think of anything else to say.
How about what's going on in Genshin Impact, man?
Yeah, there we go.
We do that?
Segue!
What happened in Genshin Impact? Well, 3.7 wise, there were 4 things. Yeah, four event type stuff that occurred, and you got 4 characters, all of which were reruns for anyone who was missing out on Yoimiya for some freaking charming explosives. Yaimiko, if you truly hate yourself but love the aggravate reaction. Al Haytham for the spread DPS, who plays like Kaching but also adds stuff. And then Kazuha, who just holds out a microwave to vaporize his opponents. The events in 3.7, there was a TCG Grand Prix event, which introduced the character Charlotte, because Fontaine is coming. It is coming soon, and they wanted to be like, this is one of the characters, no peeking, and then everyone peeked through the leaks. There was a freaking absurd amount of leaks.
Mm-hmm.
So we have Charlotte on the works now. They released a trailer towards the very end of the update showing 10 other characters. There was the Grand Prix covered a little bit of all the regions. People just competed for cool cards. Sino was there because of course he was. He loves cards and dad puns. and I can guarantee you that they were there. It was fun. There was a Cave hangout mission in which you pretty much get to learn how he is simultaneously a great architect and a terrible manager. Because he is so, what's the word? Kind-hearted, but naive. He's freaking naive as hell. One of the biographical descriptions of him is literally the fact that if someone were to ask him for money to pay their rent, he probably would freaking do it without even knowing the person. There was a Yoimiya Part 2 quest, which was a lovely little a lovely little intermission for the Archon quests. It just kind of covered how Yoimiya's thoughts operate and what she likes to prioritize in her life, what makes her tick, what does she consider dreams and all of that. And then for the truly depraved Genshin Impact players, there was a tournament type event in which they gave you 3 bosses. It was the event in which you went into the domain and you got to add a ton of modifiers onto it. And if you were a whale, that's like your favorite freaking event, because you just get to see whether or not you nuke the thing or you get absolutely wrecked, because the difficulty spike in those events are, you can tailor for 1, and 2, if you tailor it to the highest difficulty, it kind of goes freaking obscene. So I saw that people were enjoying the fact that they had to fight bosses with a few surprise mechanics and a lot of modifiers to increase the difficulty, so the Zhongli mains can finally feel something. But that was 3.7. We're in 3.8 now. You're exploring the jungle with a host of characters to entertain the little gremlin that is known as Klee. And we currently are running Eula and Klee. Eula, who hasn't ran for, I want to say, 25 months. No, not 25 months.
A long ass fucking time.
A long time. A long time. Over a year. Definitely over a year. Those characters are in. There's a Kaya Hangout event that is available. And that's where the expansion is now. The limited time zone. It's not the Apple Archipelago. It's a little jungle area, but it functions roughly the same way. And that's kind of used lightly, considering they add a ton of different interactions.
They added a tram system.
Yes, they added a tram system. So we'll see if they decide to keep the tram system or if it's a one-off. You never know with Genshin.
It's not a star rail, is it?
No.
But yeah, that's kind of it. It's 2 short and sweet expansions, because Fontaine is right around the corner. Because as I've said, they've already showed. They're starting to already tease Fontaine characters in the gacha banners. So we know 3 characters that are going to be starting. They've teased 10 other characters in the trailer.
Including the Archon.
Well, we don't know.
That's the Archon.
It's supposed. But yeah, it's Fontaine prep now. People are either saving their Primo Gems or hoping they can snag a character that's running right now. You have the characters starting off in Fontaine will be Freminette, Linny, and Lynette, who are all siblings. And they're
One of them's
one's a scuba diver, and the other two are magicians. So
one isn't possibly human.
yes, one possibly isn't even real. So it's time to find out what the hell is going on in the land of water, because it's supposed to be the land of justice, and yet people are more entertained by magical acts and theater. So, yeah, something's wrong. There's a lady with a gun who's hot.
Yes.
Time to find out.
Time to fuck about?
No, find out, not... Okay, that's it.
I guess I'll go, because you said you don't even have it loaded anymore, Outrider.
The only thing I'll add quickly is, at most, I'll probably dip in just to check out Fontaine. Because I'm more interested in the large-scale expansions.
The story that's been going on for a long time.
You know, I'm curious to see where that's going to go. But, you know, some of these smaller, late in the, I want to say, year editions, I don't really need to do anything with it. I am disappointed the Golden Apple Archipelago isn't around. That was like one of my favorite little places to go to.
Is the Yokomiya hangout still available?
Yes, it is a story quest. So
Okay,
it should still
good.
be.
I love my Genki girl. So, I have a weird relationship with Genshin Impact. I mean, I do the dailies every day. I'm not
videos that you download. Yeah, there's all sorts of.
It's like I don't really do all much of the events. I don't like the trading card game thing. It's just not my thing. I did play though the story missions that had Charlotte in it, so I got to experience her personality and everything, and see that get an idea of her. The Archipelago event that's going on, there's probably going to be tons of memes of Uncle Kaya and Klee, because we always love those, because and I mentioned this to Bam Outrider. Klee's mom is a deadbeat mom, basically. Because she's fostered this kid who I view her actual family parental figure. She has, of course, she has Albedo because that's her brother. Uncle Kaya. Who was the other one? Jean. Yeah, it's Uncle Kaya, Jean, and her brother Albedo. That's her family.
Wait. Brother? Isn't he a homunculus?
Yes, it is adoptive brother.
Yes.
Okay, or adoptive. Okay,
yeah, that's
fine.
what...
Alice pretty much found him. Here's a little bit of Genshin lore, because I'm that fudging deep in the iceberg.
Okay.
I thought it was going to get very weird all of a sudden.
No, so essentially Alice is part of the Hexen Circle, which is a bunch of mages like to group up. One of them made the homunculi albedo. She kind of just took him under her wing, and so now it's Alice is kind of mothering albedo and Klee.
That's what, and
Pretty much it.
And my brother, Benedict K, who you used to, if you remember him, he's my half brother, but I never call him my half brother. He's my brother. So the way I see albedo to Klee is knowing the lore and the background of him. He's her brother to me. So that's why I meant, like, you know, he's her brother. There's Uncle Kaya, and then...
No, I thought it was just going to go extremely bizarro.
No.
Yes,
Like,
well,
yes.
You see, Klee is an artificial human designed to explode upon impact on Mondstadt, making sure that the entire civilization is ended once.
Yeah, I was half expecting, since there's now homunculi involved, that Klee was going to have a baby sister that was merged with her dog or something like that.
No.
Edward!
It's just the way I see Klee and her, like, the people who I would consider as, like, siblings or parental figures.
And just for how albedo typically is around Klee, no, he actually does care, and that was always understood. The main Mondstadters do care for her.
Yes, they do.
So.
I think it was even one. There was a line that goes on. She's like arguing with these brothers, and she says, like, Klee has this charm to her that, like, people just, you know, they'll you know, the brothers are arguing. They stop arguing because they want to, like, they don't want to upset Klee because she's, you know, she's this young innocent gremlin of destruction. But they don't want to see her cry or, you know, anything like that. But, you know, the community, the Genshin community, has always paired her with Kaya, Uncle Kaya, and their adventures, which are hilarious. And we always saw Jean as being sort of like a mother figure to her.
Nanny.
Yeah.
Older sister.
And then when we found out albedo was adopted by Alice, you know, she's got a brother who cares very deeply for her. So I always saw that as like an interesting family unit, so to speak. But yeah, Genshin Impact is weird. You know, it's a great open world, neat stuff. I haven't opened half the shit in there because I can't figure out how to do it, and I really am too lazy to, like, look it up to how to do it. It's just like, I just want to get in there and it's like, open the shit up, please. But that's no slight against developers. That's just me being lazy. I was not able to get Al-Hatham. I was able to get Foxy Lady. I'm just a collector. I'm getting more just for collection's sakes. That's how I see when the banners roll around and there's like a character I don't have.
She's gonna step on you. I'm letting you know.
I haven't used her yet. Right now, my party is my main three, which is Klee, Barbara, and Fischl, and I'm taking Duloc with me because I want to get his friendship up to 10.
Barbara became good.
I've always used Barbara. Barbara I like. What the fuck? Everyone thinks she sucks. I like her. She's my main healer. I don't play
this man. He lives in antiquated times.
I don't play the meta.
I'm kidding.
Not that we're trying to go back to, like, Destiny with builds and shit. Like, fuck the builds. I didn't even try doing builds with Destiny or the meta. Fuck that. I like
I'm busting your balls because I'm the type of person that my main team, the last time I played Genshin Impact, was 4 freaking deities, okay? That's my main team going into it.
Yeah, but that's neat.
I have the alcoholic. I have the guy that works at the funeral parlor. I have the riding shogun, and then I have the hacker baby. You know, those are all more than I was using.
Well, it should be you have the alcoholic, the guy who can't keep it, forgot what he did with his wallet, the person who grief is a serious thing, but the person who can't move on from from an unfortunate thing that happened for her family, and the hacker baby. But the thing is, I like that. That's a theme. I would enjoy. If I had them all at the level that I could play them at in all the areas, I would do that because I have all 4 of them. But that's a neat theme you can come up with, and that's kind of neat. If you can get the characters, you can come up with these theme parties and stuff. Like I have now that I got Punchy Boy from Izuma, I can basically make my punchy group, which would be Punchy Boy, what's her name, Deidre, what's
Did
his
you just
Deidre?
isn't that your favorite character?
Yeah, the one from Sumeru, the mercenary girl.
Dia?
Dia, that's right, Dia.
How did you forget your favorite
I don't remember. I haven't put her in the thing. I can't. I don't feel like grinding for material to level them up because I'm just trying to do simple things, and I have to admit, having to like do that is kind of boring. But still the combat makes it interesting. But it's just like, I'll pass. What's his name? The Oni guy, and there's one more who has punchy powers, and I forget who it is. But
Dia, Azo,
Oni boy.
Shikamaru, Heizo. Yeah, Heizo, you already said that.
and I take it you mean something more blunt weapons, because
Kind of.
I don't think anyone else punches. Wanderer technically punches, but he kind of just throws.
I don't have them, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I was gonna make a group where it's just like they have an element of they'll throw a punch instead of use a weapon. So
Barbara slaps people.
Kind of, sort of. Yeah, there's my healer. There you go, my punchy group. The thing is, I have to tip my hat to Hoyo. They come up with all these different activities that, yeah, they don't last forever, but they're all unique to a very good degree. They're optional. You're not the only FOMO, I guess you could say, is the characters themselves from the banners. But if you're just looking for a game that has a bunch of activities that you can do that will keep you interested and not bore you, Hoyo does a very good job of it. With the Archipela, it is a thing that they do every summer. It lasts for 40 days, which is basically almost a month and a half. And it's a big fucking chunk of real estate to play in that has all kinds of different things. You can get a lot of primogens, so you can roll for those characters. This banner, I'm rolling for Miko because he's the 4-star that I don't have, because I just like collecting the characters to say I have them. Not because I'm looking for any type of meta. It's just the collector in me gravitates to that, and I do that. Because I don't need Uli, I have her, and I have a Klee. I'm actually waiting for the next banner, which I think is, the Wanderer and...
Wanderer and Kokomi.
Which I have neither one of them. I'm probably only going to... If I'm lucky, I'm probably only going to get one of them. But yeah, if Bam, if you're saying lore-wise and everything that this is, because you keep tabs on Genshin big time, that this is setting up for Fontaine, it's been hinted at for a long time, and
they're sending out the advertisements. There's really not too much lore stuff for Fontaine.
Okay, but still, that's enough to get people.
They
interested.
showed screenshots of what it's supposed to look like. They've given you animations of who's going to be there.
Yeah. Gun Girl, that's if she's a 5-star, probably the first time I'm going to plunk money down just so I can get her. I haven't plunked money down in this for like to roll for a character in probably 2 years. So just so I can get Gun Girl, the character designs are really neat. It's got that they have that Victorian era feel to them, like with their designs. Like there was that blonde-haired girl with the umbrella. I have no idea what her deal is. Gun Girl, I'm thinking she's probably a cop or something. You have the magician siblings. You've got the judge character. You have that blind guy with the lolly.
We don't know if he's blind. Everyone freaking thinks he's blind because he fondles a cup.
Well, the lolly was making some kind of a thing, and he almost picked it up, and then he moved his hand away, and she seemed upset.
His face is full of paper. He's not feeling the papers. He's just staring at them.
And we've got the supposed Archon of Justice. I'm just calling her the Archon of Justice, who just seems like probably the worst at her job. Yeah, the Archons are pretty fucking messed up. I'm thinking about it.
When Nahida says that you've got a few screws loose, you know you've got a problem.
Yeah. And I believe you were still playing the game when she had said that, Outrider, about the Archon for Fontaine.
Probably, because I think you asked her about the various Archons.
Yeah.
And because you mentioned you're going to Fontaine next, and she goes, "Oh,
about that."
About that, you're about to jump straight into the Cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs land.
And one thing we do know about Fontaine is there's a definite thing of technology, also along with the whole justice thing. I would take it technology on the scope of like late 1800s, early 1900s. That's where the camera came from, and there's some other things that have been dropped and hinted throughout the game. But, yeah, I mean, I liked it. It was Genshin's okay. It's a free game. I mean, the fact that people say, well, it's a gacha game. Yeah, but you're the one that chooses whether you want to spend money or not. They're not, basically leaning you over the counter sink, pulling your pants down and ripping it out of your ass. That's up to you. If you're into that, hey, Bam mentioned the whales and that activity that they just practically were salivating over. But it's an okay game. I like it. The character designs are nice. The world is built great. Me, Bam, and Outrider, the last time we did this when they had a big update for Destiny, Genshin, and Final Fantasy, we hands down said that Genshin had the best expansion, and that was when Sumeru came out with the whole story. After we waited a month like we did today, with this one, where the story was probably the best thing about it, and then everything else was like extra gravy. A big world, lots of things to do, interesting characters, interesting side stories. I mean, I know Outrider went spelunking for ancient ruins and stuff. Hoya does a good job with Genshin Impact. I can't really say about Star Rail because it's only available on PC. and I'm waiting
right
for
now.
it. Yeah, right now I'm waiting for it to come on the PS so I can play that.
Winter, they said, so
Winter.
it might be December.
And I like turn-based games, so I have no problem with it. There's a lot of people bitching, it's like, why is it turn-based? I like turn-based games. I'm good with it. So yeah, Genshin's okay. I like Genshin. It's good. It does its thing. It does it pretty well. It can keep your interest. I deal with it in my own way when it comes to its different activities and stuff. I'm looking forward to when the 3.8 is that when Fontaine is dropping or
Well, the update's going to be 4.0.
4.0. Okay. Well, there's going to be 3. Well, it's 3.8 now, so we have 3.9. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 4.0.
No, not that either.
Really?
4.0 is just what they think. How Final Fantasy, it'll go to the next first number index, like it went like 2 point blah, 3 point blah for updates. It never went past 6.6 or anything like that.
No, it went to 6.55.
Yeah,
I think after 3.8 it goes right to 4.0.
Oh, it does?
It's like that.
Okay.
It's like that. It depends on what the region is, because I remember that Inazuma had a longer period of wait. But yeah, it just depends how many updates they want to throw in between regions, but whenever a new region releases, that's...
Well, I'm looking... The long and short of it, I'm looking forward to the new region. And it's not just the region, I'm looking forward to that story. Because I think that's probably the one reason I keep playing Genshin is for the little story moments, especially the ones that I like. And specifically the Archon story. I got done playing the... like I told you, Bam, I got done playing the... that side story with the guy with the star eyes from that place that got fucked over by the gods. Dainsleif. And boy, that was nightmarish. And when I mean nightmarish, not like horrible, thing. Basically, the one guy being cursed with fucking immortality, and watching, his kid
You're talking about the Chasm one?
No, not the Chasm one. I'm talking about the Dainsleif one, where there's this guy trying to... His kid turned into a Haley Churl.
Oh, no, that's the recent one. Right.
Yes, that one. Where he's like, yeah, I'm cursed with immortality. It sucks balls. And I'm getting... my son's been tendering a fucking Hurley Churl as soon as he was, born. And I'm trying to save his mind from him going crazy. And then he goes crazy anyway, because he meets that... weird power, the sinner, or whatever the fuck it's called. So yeah, it doesn't sound like there's any good guys really. Even the Archons are not looking squeaky clean now. So yeah, I'm looking forward to 4.0 and the story specifically, and everything else would just be extra mashed potatoes with some nice tasty gravy on top. So anything else about Genshin, guys? I would take that as a no, and that's my cue. So, Final Fantasy XIV, patch 6.4, The Dark Throne. There's two things going on, actually, because just like Bam said, 3.8 and Archipelago is going on. It is also the 10th anniversary of Final Fantasy XIV itself. But let's go into the patch. Of course, there was more story. And we ended up taking on Golbitz, and we found Vitra's sister, and she has been turned into a tool for Golbitz to try to get into the source, and basically make it their own world, because the 13th, which you know as the Void, was destroyed by the Ascians. It was their first attempt to try to create a calamity so they can make the rejoining, and they fucked up. And that's where all the void scent come from, because it is void of ether, which is life force or magic. So we got to take on Golbitz. He was the trial, and he is also an extreme once you finish it. There was a dungeon that was included in that. So there was an extra bit of story. We also got the Circles 9 through 10 for Pandemonium, which, not to spoil it too much, because the Final Fantasy XIV community is really nitsy on that. Even though I just mentioned we met Founder's Vitra's sister. You get to fight what's his name's mom, and Leia Brea's ex-wife. And she's not all there. Let's just leave it at that. So you can get now more gear. The gear is pretty neat looking. It's pretty good. So there's more fuel for your glam. The true end game of Final Fantasy XIV is the glamming. There is also Tataru's Grand Endeavor, and this was This was not heartbreaking, but definitely. Bam even admits he almost shed a tear. Definitely tugs at your heart.
For which part?
The end specifically. I would definitely say hit that up. It does involve characters that you've already done stuff for. I don't want to spoil it, because I really want people to enjoy this. Especially you do get something at the end, and it is a really good thing. And definitely, if you have a house or an apartment, or if you're an FC member, definitely get that thing and throw it up for people to see. I actually took a picture of the thing before you got the item itself. I've been meaning to send that to you, ma'am. Their new chapters have been added to New Game Plus, and of course you know what that is. That's New Game Plus. Their graphics for the quest icon display of escort NPCs was changed. This is quality of life. There was also some new items for the FC. The Manderville Gold Saucer. They're currently, right now, the event is the Make It Rain event going on. You can get a minion by doing the seasonal event. Also, you'll get 50% more Gold Saucer points by doing anything in a Gold Saucer. You will also get 50% more for doing the challenges for the week. So if you're looking to get some stuff in the Gold Saucer, this is a great way of getting some Gold Saucer points. There is a special vendor that has discounted items, not every item in there, like mounts specifically. But if you're looking to get like the mini games, like the Moogle Claw game, the Puncher Curl, and so on, you can buy them at a discounted point. There's some glams, because everything in there is really just glams, like weapon glams. Like if you want to have your character look like a bunny girl, like as in like Playboy Bunny, but not quite Playboy Bunny, you can get that, and you can make your character look like a bunny girl. Or if you just want like to get the bunny ears itself, they're at discounted price. That will run until next week, actually. So the 17th. So you have one more day and a week. Well, actually, one more week to do that. The seasonal quest to do the thing is not hard at all. It take you about 5 minutes to do it, and you get a really neat minion. They did some adjustments to the Island Sanctuary, which is the little thing that you have that you can just chill on and do things. There were some new hair items that were given. The Fox Leaves is a activity that deals with the ultimates, and I've never run an ultimate yet. Those are things that'll take you. They're like raids. like time-wise, like from Destiny, and you really need to know your stuff to be able to find a group that you can get into, because you actually have to look for a group. They have like these link pearl systems where you can create statics, is what they call, that you basically will play with these people on a consistent basis to be able to do the toughest stuff in the game. Eventually, I'll be able to do it. There's some new emotes that were added. There's some tweaks to the battle system. I'm not going to go over everything because it's just a long ass fucking list. Some tweaks to like the thing. There's new locations, like a new dungeon. The Aether Front was added. The new trial, which is called the Void to Cast Dias, was added. +6 Extreme. The new Unreal was Containment Bay Z1T9, where you get to fight one of the not fun the triad from Heaven's Ward. He was not a fun fight on Extreme, and I can only imagine what he is like in Unreal. Like I said, the new dungeon Pandemonium Anabasios, that's circles 9 through 12. They were added, plus once you finish them, you could get the Savage versions of them. Let's see, I keep wanting to say Eurofree wasn't 6.4, was it? Bam?
Euphrosyng?
Yeah.
6.3, I think.
6.3, yeah. But yeah, that was pretty much the big things when it came to the patch itself. We knew we were getting the Pandemonium raids. The Pandemonium raids are fun. They're good. They're challenging. You can, of course, you're doing it to get higher gear levels. If there's some gear in there that you like, of course, you're looking for glams. The new trial we knew that I was actually kind of surprised that we got it, but you got to fight Golbitz. That's not really a spoiler. He was the first guy you saw when you started doing 6.1. And then you got the extreme version. I haven't run it yet. I believe one of those trials, or is it? Yeah, I think it was one of the trials. Gives out the Exel mount, which everyone is just drooling over because it's cute as fuck. A little bit of contention was that the community had was the Shadow Wolf mount, who was the boss one of the bosses in the Eden Raid series. Because that's the one you pointed out that said had 3 eyes. That unfortunately was a store-bought item, and the community was not happy that it was a store-bought item. They were hoping they would be able to get it through a Savage. But that just lets you know that Yoshi Bean teams, sometimes they do stuff, they're not perfect. They do things that the community is like, oh, why'd you do that? But that's the 6.4. It is also the 10-year anniversary of Final Fantasy X, and there is a bunch of stuff that will be going out throughout the year. Let me just go through everything real quick. The stuff that's already happened, supposedly there was a 14-hour broadcast for the 10th anniversary. It was scheduled for spring of 2024. I don't know if it happened or not. You'll probably can find it on YouTube if it is. God, that'll take me days to get through. Just the live letters alone are 8-hour affairs. The North American Fan Fest in Las Vegas is happening on July 28th and 29th. I was going to think about going there, but I'm still leery about traveling and being around too many people post-pandemic, because I do have a compromised immune system. The official tournament for Crystalline Conflict for the victor of North America happens July 29th. Eorzea Symphony in the theater at Virgin Hotels Las Vegas is July 30th, which is coinciding with the Fan Fest. There is a stunning light show of fireworks and drones in Osaka, Japan. Maybe they'll YouTube it or stream it. That's happened August 26th. Then on October 21st and 22nd, you got the European Fan Festival in London. And then they also will have the Eorzea Symphony in the Iventim Apollo in London on October 23rd. Then on November 23rd, there's another fireworks show in Kanto, Japan. Then on January 7th and 8th of 2024, there's the Japanese Fan Festival in Tokyo. On August 27th, 2023, we already had that. We'll have another Moogle Treasure Trove event. They have not said what kind of rewards they're going to be. That's still about a month and a half out. Also on August 27th, there is the Rising. Celebrate the 10th anniversary with the Rising seasonal event. So it's a seasonal event in game. Same thing with the Moogle Treasure Trove. Then limited time group pose frames and stickers. Special 10th anniversary frames and stickers will be available in group pose for a limited time in game. That'll be coming in patch 6.45. Then there's a contest that'll be coming soon, which is show us your dream hairstyle in Final Fantasy XIV in the hairstyle design contest. This is something if you're an artist and you want to show your best stuff, this stuff will end up in game. They've done this with weapons, they've done this with armor, so this is legit. We also have the official tournament to determine the victor in Europe and Oceania. That's coming soon too. Then there's also the one for Japan. Designing boss battles. Learn how our boss battles are designed featuring Ozma from the Weeping City of Mach. Currently available. Okay, I didn't know that. The Art of Eorzea. Learn details behind the art of patches 3.2 and 3.3 as well as behind the scenes stories. Then there is a collab which happened already, which is basically Final Fantasy XIV collabed with Puma to make clothes and hats and shit. Celebrate. They're doing these things to get whistles. From June 24th to 27th, they had this where if you went to Twitter and you put in this code and stuff, or a tag actually, you could have won the Flying Cumulus Whistle. Whistle. Ugh. I missed it. And then they did one where they had the original Fat Chocobo, the original Chonker Bam, which was white instead of the yellow. And then on the 21st of April, they did have a express your memories of Final Fantasy XIV through your artistic talents. It was a contest. But there is still stuff that is happening in-game and out-game for it. There is a website, just basically in Google, just type in Final Fantasy XIV 10th Anniversary website, and you'll pull it up. And you can then follow all the little links that they have there. I really like the patch. It's a kind of the in-between patch between the Alliance raids. The Alliance raid for this patch has been phenomenal. But we were looking for the finality of the Pandemonium raid. And then, of course, being able to know more about the story, because the patch main story quests after the expansion comes out sets up a hint of what's going to be happening with the next major expansion. And there is going to be another expansion. I mean, theory-wise, if I were to craft one, we're going to the 13th and trying to heal it and maybe not make it the void hellscape that it is. But that's if I were to give you odds on that, those odds would be super long. That's just me spitballing at that point. But we have Zero with us. We have been traveling to the Void. We're trying to help Vitra get his sister, who's one of the great worms of Eorzea. And Golbitz has been trying. We know it's not a spoiler at this point because if you've been playing this for 6.1, they want to come to the source and they want to take it over because they live in a shitty.
World is boned.
Yeah, the world's boned, and they want out. And they want to take. They figure if they go to our world, then they won't be so boned. But they also kind of want to take it over and be evil about it. Without, how people go about things. They're like, hey, I'm doing this for this reason that seems good to me, but I'm going about it in the wrong way, and then kind of bad things happen. Bam! What did you feel about patch 6.4 The Dark Throne?
Oh, it was so good. Freaking the story was great. More Ishtola actions of pleasure. Your girl's been shining in these patch quests. The meatheads of the group that you get in the expansion are fantastic. Oh, a great loot! I forgot about the great. I don't know if I should say that. That's kind of a spoil. That's spoiling. There's a very apparent story revelation. The Pandemonium series is both fun and I get a weapon with my name on it. Oh yes. A really good looking weapon too. It's a very good looking weapon. I can't wait to get that very good looking monk weapon. I've been waiting forever for a good looking monk weapon. Can't wait. Anything that stood out for you that you enjoyed? Besides the Pandemonium raid? I like to bring this to everyone's attention. Bam! Besides the Crystal Tower series, Alliance raid, because you had to do it in order to be able to continue on the main story quest. He's not a fan of the Alliance raids. He likes Endwalker's Alliance raid big time. Yeah, I got a Halone minion, so what else is there that I need? I've won. I won the game. He gets to fight Halone. He get Big Booba Nafika in the beginning. Sure. Come on, people like Big Booba. You know what Arguine says? It's all about the titties, and I will not disagree with her assessment on that. Plus, you get to fight a really great fight at the end with Melfinia and Dalamud. And a killer fucking song with it too. Oh, the music. That's the one thing Bam is trying to get more than the Halone minion. He's trying to get all the orchestration roles out of this Alliance raid.
Specifically trying to get the one.
Which one?
I think it's the Rhythm of the Night or something like that.
Oh, the Benfinia one?
No, that's just the battle theme through Euphrosyne.
Okay. Yeah, I play Final Fantasy XIV the most, not just because I'm paying a sub for it. I still have things that I have not completed in this game on my main character. I have 8 characters on this game. You don't need 8 characters because you could do everything with one character. And this is not a slight towards Destiny 2. This is more of just a general MMO thing, because I know in WoW, if you want to play any of the other character classes, you have to create a new character. Here, you could do every job in the game on one character. Yeah, I could pay $5 for a Fantasia and turn my cat girl into a Lalafell if I wanted to. If I wanted to play as a Lalafell. But I don't want to spend $5 to change my characters. To change my character. So I made one of each race. And I happen to belong to 4 different FCs. Actually, no. 3 different FCs. Wait, no. AOD, Sloot. No, 4. Yeah, 4 different FCs between between 5 different characters. That's how much I love this game. I'm playing through the main story quest with all the other characters. I've got 3 characters alone in Endwalker material. If this wasn't, if maybe it's just me, and this game just, reaches me in a different way that it would reach other people. But I made 8 different characters. You know what? I'm bending over. Go ahead, give it to me. I'll take it rough, soft, whatever. I'm good with it. Granted, one of the characters we made is a joke character. It's between me, Bam, and Dragon King Soup. I made the Rothgar, which are like line guy people. Outrider. And for some reason, we decided to call him Dr. Albert Whiskers.
I've heard this name. I was told about this character.
Okay. So, yeah, I like this game. And the patch with the main story quest that we got, with the conclusion to the Pandemonium raid, and then Tatra's Great Adventure that came out of left field. I mean, we knew we were getting it, but I was not expecting the emotional punch it was going to give us. I have no problems admitting that, yeah, I was bawling. I wasn't vocally crying, but I was tearing up plenty. That's how much that ending for just a simple side adventure, that dealt with characters whose story basically you thought was concluded in Shadowbringers. But yeah, it's just a simple, probably took maybe 10, 15 minutes. Nothing hard, nothing difficult that you had to do. You just talked to people. There was this one, you did get a duty activity that you did, which is really easy. But it just had that emotional punch that was good. So yeah, I really liked the Final Fantasy 6.4 Dark Throne. Bam, I take it you liked it too.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think it's that time in the stream for us to figure out who had the better update. And I know Outrider, you're only playing the one game, but if you were to give a Destiny 2 a mark between 1 and 10, what would you give it?
For Season of the Deep, I'd give it about 6.
I give it a 5. And that's me being gracious. Not gracious.
Generous.
Yeah, generous.
Magnanimous.
Yeah. What about you? Bam? If you were to give Destiny a score out of 1 out of 10,
I'd also give it a 6.
that sounds. That checks out. That sounds about right. I think we're more
enjoyable moments, but on the whole, it's kind of a mixed bag.
I think we're more angry at Bungie than we are at the game.
I'm not even angry at Bungie. I'm finding my fun where I can, but it's coming in smaller and smaller drips in this particular game. So.
Well, Bam, it's me and you. Which one out of because Destiny 2 is not winning the best update for me. It's just not. Even with that really important cutscene that they did drop, it shouldn't have been in the fucking season. It should have been in Lightfall. I agree with you 100%, Outrider. Because then Lightfall wouldn't be getting, the hate that it's getting.
Yeah.
So between Genshin and 3.7 and Final Fantasy 14 6.4, what are you going with and why?
I'd go with 6.4.
And the reason why you're giving it over Genshin?
Great glamours, story relevant content, like actually to the main plot line, fun raid series, and yeah. Yep.
I'm also giving it over Genshin. Not to say that Genshin did a bad job at all. Like I said, Hoyo does good work. But same thing Bamp just hit. The main story quest is very relevant. The raid series was great and it's fun. I enjoy it. It's a nice challenge. The one little side quest that has that emotional punch that's just extra, more armor and weapons that, yes, they'll help you pump up your stats, but some people will also be getting a lot of this stuff for glams. I think there's also new recipes and stuff that are added too, which means even more glams. And people are all about their glams. The Pandemonium has it's weird. The music is great, but it's like starts off like disjointed, and maybe that was the point of the music, Bam. Like when 9 comes, it's like disjointed, and then it's like as you slowly go along, it kind of sort of turns it gets less disjointed, and you kind of get an idea of what the music is trying to be or say, and then you get to the last boss, and it still has an odd quality to it, but you understand it in the context of that character. But it's still a great fucking tune. And we need to make sure that we get those orchestration rolls, because as you can hear, in the background, I got that big old orchestration back there, and you can actually set up 10 songs in your apartment and listen to them. I know Outrider, when we were doing the one and you were watching the stream, when I was in that, that's unfortunately not available in the game, and I hate it because it's a great fucking... It's from Final Fantasy VIII. It's the garden theme. except with better technology, of course, and orchestrated, and it's beautiful.
16 has some really good music in it, by the way.
Like I said, it's the size of the game that is unfortunately keeping me from getting it. I also need to get a external hard drive so I could throw the PlayStation 4 games on there. A lot of people kept telling me that, and I keep forgetting. That would save me enough space where then I could play Final Fantasy 16. Real quick, since you, I think out of the two of us, you've beaten it, you've played it. It's weird. It's like there's people that say it's great, and then people that hate it for some reason. Quick thoughts on it?
On Final Fantasy 16?
Yes.
It's epic. I can understand people's criticisms about it. I didn't have too much of an issue with their criticisms. It doesn't play like a normal what you would consider a normal Final Fantasy game. But then again, most Final Fantasy games as of late have been totally different from each other. Mm-hmm. It's a singular focus story on one main protagonist. And you're going to have a whole bunch of other characters that you're going to love. And there is a fucking body count in this game. Oh,
okay. Well, I mean, one thing kind of got spoiled by accident. I know one person who dies.
The game, the inspiration for the game is Game of Thrones.
Oh, so that's why there's a body count.
This is a darker game than previous entries. It is an M-rated title for language, violence, nudity, sex, all this other stuff. It is very much a grown-up story, but I enjoyed it from start to finish. I will not give my final thought on it because I agree with my wife. After completing it, and she watched the ending too, and we both sat there and looked at each other and said, "No, this was good, but next time, create a business unit 3."
What? I'm missing something here.
He literally took to the interwebs and said, "This game is amazing," followed by his significant other saying, I need happy thoughts.
I need happy thoughts.
Something along those lines.
Is it a game that ends on a downer?
No, kind of, maybe. It depends on your it depends on your perspective. And after the 25 minutes of credits are done, that you can't skip.
Yes.
There is an extra scene that could potentially change how you view everything. I will say one thing, because Torgal, who is your wolf dog,
your doggo
companion, your doggo, for people worried about, well, you just said it's Game of Thrones. Will the doggo survive? The doggo survives. I don't care if that's a spoiler, but I find it important for people to know that the dog will survive the entirety of the game.
So some of the criticism is like he's like almost immortal.
There's reasons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, well, don't spoil it.
I'm not.
The only spoilers for those you animal lovers. The doggo lives.
That's all you need to know. Torgal survives. Torgal is awesome. Torgal is the best boy.
Well, like you're saying with the Final Fantasy games, some of them different. Like Final Fantasy Tactics. That's tactical. People didn't bitch about it. They were just glad they got another Final Fantasy game. It's one of the best. People have been asking for the remaster. Me and you specifically. As soon as that thing gets announced, we're fucking pre-ordering that thing.
I will say, you can actually give Torgal commands. Because this plays like an action game, because they actually got Platinum Games to do the combat. Platinum Games is Bayonetta, the people that did Devil May Cry originally.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Well, I think they brought the guy who did the combat for Devil May Cry in, didn't they?
That's Platinum Games.
Okay.
That's the offshoot. After they did the Devil May Cry 1 and 2, maybe 3, they left Capcom and formed their own studio called Platinum Games.
Mm-hmm,
and that's also where Bam's favorite Metal Gear Rising Revengeance comes from.
I want to play that so bad right now.
But like I was saying, you can give Torgal commands and you use the little directional buttons on your PlayStation 5 gamepad. But when you have Torgal attack, as the game goes on, Clive, the main character, stops going, Torgal, sick 'em, Torgal, takedown. And he starts going, Torgal, kill. That's it. That's the command. And Torgal does. And
he's the best boy.
Yes.
What a good boy, slabbering their entrails across the floor. Adorable.
Yes, and he waves his tail, and you can pet him, too.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's a good murder there, boy. Yes. Oh, here you go. Here's some sausages. Anyway, well, there you go. This is our post-op, I guess you could say, though I've called it the post-conjunction, and it's us going through the conjunction and all the fun that we've had for the last month with all 3 games. For some of us, it has been all 3 games. For some of us, it's only been 1. Well, I guess the next patch release for Final Fantasy is 4.5, which probably won't be the during like Genshin's updates or Destiny's updates, but I'm pretty sure 6.5 will. So we might be doing this again. But it's time for people to give out their deets. So Outrider, where can they find you and check your stuff out?
On the Bluebird Hell site at Outrider45. Twitch.tv/Outrider45 and the Hidden Guardians podcast. Go to Spotify for podcasts and find the Hidden Guardians podcast there.
Alright. Bam, you've got some deets.
Yep, you'll find me by myself on Twitch, Jedi and Polaris 23, YouTube channel with the same name. Currently with Space Canada TV, I am throwing a hissy fit with the turn-based game Final Fantasy VI. I know, it's heresy, but I'm doing it. You
should watch those streams he did for Final Fantasy VI and listen to him raging and bitching at the turn-based system that Final Fantasy VI has.
They said that they modernized and streamlined the game and then chose to keep it antiquated as hell. That's not my fault for being stupid.
Oh yeah, he did the opera scene.
We've talked about the opera scene.
Okay.
Nam and I am aware. Honestly, if I could get my hands on an Ultros plush, I would send it to him.
No. I will burn Ultros alive. In fact, I'm going to go into Final Fantasy 14 this week and probably beat the frick out of him.
Yeah, you can. He fucked it up 3 times too before he got it right. He's definitely not a man of culture.
Fucking yes, because when I play a turn-based RPG, I expect a quick time event. That makes no fudging sense. My mistake.
What do you mean? It's an opera, dude.
What do you mean it's an opera? There was turn-based events. By the way, that whole sequence is voiced. It's beautiful, but was not in the game before.
Yes, it was.
The opera scene was in the game.
Yes,
no, the opera scene was, but how they did it was not. That was a whole different engine, whole different thing.
No, it wasn't.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
No, I would actually have to look and see if they changed something. I haven't watched him stream that, but I can go check it out on Space Canada TV and find out. But
I
All I know
believe.
is there was the opera scene in the original game.
Yeah, I can tell you which one it is, so you can go right to it.
Wasn't there. I'm just saying.
No.
The event
You're saying that there was something changed about it, so that's why I'm curious.
The name of it's Zozo's Bizarre Adventure.
Jesus Christ.
Yep, you're welcome.
It's a Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remastered playthrough Part 3.
Zozo's Bizarre
I
Adventure. Why?
you know what?
My naming convention is quite inspirational. I know.
Actually, I tend to agree.
I was being sarcastic, but thank you.
No, I tend to agree. Like, granted, it's a horrible pun, and I hate you for your fucking horrible puns and your love for Sino. But his last play was Part 4, and you know the character Terra, right?
Yes.
The name of his thing is A Terrible Mess, and it's TERRA-BLE. A Terrible Mess. I hate you, Bam. That's time for my usual closing. If you enjoyed the stream, please subscribe, hit the notification bell so you can get notifications when you're streaming. You can also follow me on PlayStation Network. When I'm playing a game or streaming, you'll see it on your dashboard feed. Also, we have a Discord called Space Canada, a Facebook page called Space Canada. So request to join. 9 out of 10 to get in. It's all about games, geekery, stupidity, and no real bullshit. We get it on a daily basis. You know what's even worse than shaking our head trying to figure out what the fuck Bungie keeps frustrating us? Or so if you're on use Twitter pages, Space Canada TV, or PR Man, I am Emo McGillicuddy Mayon, Super Evil Poptarts, one word spelled out, unlike my tag. Next stream might be tomorrow. If you had watched yesterday's Super Evil Poptarts Versus, the prize was actually to be able to pick the next Super Evil Poptarts game that he played. We had a bunch of candidates. The games were Siren, One Night in 1995, one of the Fatal Frames, because there's 3 of them that are available that you can play on the PS5, and Don't Go Into the House. Dragon King Soup guessed correctly by 1, and I will be playing the PlayStation 2 remastered version on PS5 of Siren. Siren. Why are you laughing? I don't like that. I've read a synopsis on it, but now that you're laughing like that...
You'll find out.
No, you can't leave me hanging.
No, you'll find out.
So I might start playing that. I'm still finishing up, though, Resident Evil 4 Remastered. I think I got like 4 chapters left to go before I'm done with it. But yeah, it was the 5th year anniversary of Super Evil Pop-Tarts, actually, and we decided to put an actual tangible type prize, and that is what I would be playing next specifically also after Resident Evil 4, so maybe you'll get a preview of me playing Siren. Oh boy. The rest of the week is me and Bam on Final Fantasy XIV on Wednesday. I will definitely this Thursday continue my playthrough of Final Fantasy III Pixel Remastered, because that's the Final Fantasy I'm doing. Dragon was supposed to do Final Fantasy IV, but we had this scheduled instead. And then join Bam, us on Saturday, specifically Bam, here on Space Canada TV for his continuation of his playthrough of Final Fantasy VI. Pixel Remastered. Thank you very, very much, Outrider, for joining us. I'm glad. I enjoy talking with you. We won't talk as much as we usually do, but we're doing our things. And as always, Bam, you're one of us, so I know you got your own stuff. But Bam, aka Jedi Players in the chats, thank you. Thank you very much for your honest assessments and your feelings on all three of these games that we play. Video games are more just games that we play. We play them for a reason, for camaraderie, community, and when done right, they can transcend art and become true art. So, until next time, my name is Super Evil Poptarts. As always, executive producer Taku Nefeo Kitty. Remember, in space, no one can hear you apologize.